Howdy folks. Well, I'm doing some redo work, unfortunately. As you remember, I had all these panels up temporarily with all this wire. Because I knew I was going to be running more lights. I had to run a light in for the bedroom. Turn my flashlight off. Wear down the battery. And plus I wanted to see how everything was after a trip across the country and back. Well, it's a good thing, because what I found where all these little smaller wires go through the metal studs, all these have rubber grommets on all these, which I showed you before. But the kit that I bought, of course, off of Amazon, the one grommet in this kit that I chose to use for the smaller wires, this one right here. See, I had a kit of all kinds of grommets. This one is the only one that I think it's very poor quality, right? The rest of them, I mean, you got to really push to get them. And you can feel them. They feel thick. They feel... I should have used these ones, right? For one, because it's always better to use a bigger hole, because you find out later on that you need more room. So, combination of putting too many wires through this, I think, plus this being so chinchy. When I started feeding the bedroom light through, I could hear. I said, ooh, that don't sound good. That sounds like metal on wire. So I got to looking, and sure enough, this is what I found. Look at this. I don't know if you can see that. So all three of these that went here, here, and there were split on the bottom where the wires, so the wires were going through and hit and rubbing on these steel studs. And even though all the holes that I drilled for these grommets, I grinded so there was no sharp edges after drilling through with the unibit. So just the constant, I guess, bouncing, and the fact that I had probably too small a one for the amount of wires that I had going through there. So one was, the furthest one over was completely in two pieces. This is the other one. So you can see, so then they would have been upside down like that. So then the wires were rubbing the steel. So I pulled all the panels off because they were temporarily installed, and pulled all the wire back out. Not the big one, not the big 30 amp, because that's those grommets, those, and these are the next size. I don't have any more of the big ones because I just used them the last three that I had. But these things here are serious rubber. I mean, they're thick. So I feel pretty good with that. But I even took heavy duty Gorilla tape, and I put a saddle through each one of those. I think you might be able to see that one if I zoom in. Well, it let me zoom in. I don't know why it's not letting me zoom in, but where you see a little strip of white tape. Well, it's 2 layers of white tape and all of those as a saddle, just to make sure. But these other ones that I put in are much better, so I feel good about it. But yeah, I don't know why even the other small ones in here, like these ones here, which are smaller than this one, right? You can just see how much thicker they are. They're thicker around here. They're thicker on the part that the steel goes around. For some reason, this one size, the size that I chose, and to be honest, I chose this because I thought, man, because these are hard to get in when you put them in, cut the hole for these. They're a little bit difficult to get in. These were easier, of course, because they're flexible. So, lesson learned. So that's what I'm doing. I've redone them. I'm feeding the wires back through now. And I've got one more wire to run through this ceiling, which hasn't been easy. I thought it would be, but I mean, we got it, but it's just me. So I got I don't know, 12-foot piece of aluminum flat bar that I'm using to fish the wire from one end to the other. And I got a small hole to hit up inside this channel. And I get it close. I run back, I have to move it a little bit, and then I move it too much, and then I got to refine the hole. If I had somebody on either end, you know, it'd be much easier, but that's not the case. So I'm going to get back to refeeding the wires through. Once I get all that done, I will then install the panels. But I've decided that these two panels will always be installed to where they can be taken off. I don't care. That's where all the wires run. I want to have everywhere else have access. If I, like, all these other panels are glued on, they're, you know, nailed on. These two, I'm not going to do that, because for some reason I got to get in the wall. I don't want to be hacking through anything and having a mess. So I need to turn around. It's a mess in here, I'm telling you. It was all nice, and I'm going to try to get all this buttoned up, and just things that you got to do. You know, it's just, I was a little bit bummed out yesterday when I pulled all these wires back out. But got up this morning, did my devotions, and had my prayer, and like I'm always saying I just told the grandson again. He said, "Oh, Pop-Up, you got to read." I said, well, in life, you know, can't control what life throws at you, but you can control your reaction to it. So I'm just, actually was singing a little song a little bit ago. A ripping we will go, a ripping we will go. Hi-ho the derry-o, a ripping we will go. Because I was ripping wires out. Oh my goodness. Now you gotta make it fun. So this wire here, I believe, is the water pump. I already fed the sub pump wire, which is quite heavier because of the distance. I couldn't get away with a 12 gauge wire for that. I was like 2 feet shy of what their chart said, the distance I had to go, so I had to go with these. They're pretty good size number 10 wire. Of course, the bigger they get, the harder they are to manage and deal with. So, and this wire is going to be, I think, the charging ports for my side of the. Matter of fact, you can actually see these wires have like a clear coat on them. You see how pulling them through that grommet, it was catching that metal, and look what it was just peeling that shiny coating off of there. But the casing's hard enough. Nothing went through to the wires. So, tell you what, it's been an expense for the wiring in this. I mean, this 30 amp wire, and I needed, what was that, 25 feet to get from where the panel is, comes in here over through the closet, down underneath the shower, and then that was, whew. And then all the outlet wire is all stranded 12 gauge, and this is heavier than your average 12 gauge wire that you would see in a house, but it's flexible. From what I researched, I did a lot of trailer fires are caused by using Lomex or stiff wire. Well, I know that. I didn't talk to you. Oh, stop. Siri's always interrupting.